This is the model I built for a client's garage. And this is where we are today. So far, in our first episode, we showed you how we sculpted all of this rock work, as well as 6,000 square foot of stamped concrete walls. In our second episode, we showed you how we took his favorite Ferrari tire tread, burned it, put it into epoxy for this bar. But we're not talking about that today. Today, we're gonna show you how we built this 10,000 square foot lighting detail on the ceiling. This is the model that I built, and in today's episode we're talking about that part right there. It's really hard to give this garage like a title of the theming in there. The ceiling was inspired by like the VelociCoaster, Guardians of the Galaxy, that kind of biotech feel. I toned it back a little bit because I didn't want to distract from the homeowner's car collection. I wanted to complement the cars. Let's talk about the specifics of the ceiling. So the ceiling is the actual lighting of this entire supercar garage. There's three main components. We have the soffit, we have the staples, which are the webbing, and then we have the nodes, which all of the staples terminate into. So the soffit, love the design, love the feel, but it actually is doing more. Underneath the soffit is an entire opening all the way around. Any extra lighting, anything that we need, that's our access point. And we are gonna start building the soffit right now.
All right. Let's pause here for a second. I've started to notice something interesting working here at Jon Laymon Studios as a editor. You see, the word we has a very different meaning than it does in most places. We here usually means, I don't remember who did this, so I'm just gonna say we all did it. But as Big Brother, Eye of Sauron, camera guy with hours and hours of footage of what goes on in this shop, I can now pinpoint who gets credit for what. Let's use this as an example. When Nathan says, we made up these guys, what he actually means is Ryan stood at this table for an entire day doing nothing but cutting and gluing and nailing 90s. Is this the we you were talking about, Nathan? Because this looks like you're leaning just all over Ryan's work. Or how about here, where my dad says we put up the staples, but that's funny. That's Nathan and Ryan on top of the lift. And you're down here. It looks like you're taking a business call. It looks like you're on the phone with somebody, which is fine. You're my boss. I'm not gonna tell you what to do. Obviously, nobody is taking credit. No, there's no mal intent here. It's just a funny observation I have made through going through all this footage and everything. And I think a funnier observation is that subscribe button down there that you guys should definitely hit. And I definitely think that we should subscribe to the channel. Just throwing that out there. All right, let's get back to the building.
So we have all of our 1x1 aluminum cut here. You got all your angles. One angle is greater than the other. It's just something you got to remember. Then we'll come over here, and this is where the jig comes in handy. So everything has a key point to it. You clamp every part here. This jig, yep.
Wrong angle.
That's the wrong angle. So that snaps into this. You clamp it here. You have another long one that then clamps onto here. And then you have one more that runs on this back side here. It keys up right in between these two, just like that. Because aluminum is really going to tweak with the heat. Now everything's clamped, it can't tweak. You weld where you have to weld, you get it all done. Once it's done, unclamp it, whole thing slides down and lifts up, all as one piece. So we have everything there. Then it gets slid over to this part. Once we get to this part, now we have to wrap the whole thing in the alumicore. So if you look right here, you can see on the alumicore where we just scribe down one line, scribe down. So the outer surface is all still connected here. So we're not cutting through that the backside layer of aluminum.
I didn't even realize that.
So it's just scribed all the way down. Right here is twice as big because we're bending a 90. This is removable. This is going to be the access panel all the way down so we can get up inside no matter what happens. We leave a lip here so it marries into the next one. So this actually ties in to the next one that gets connected to it. We'll pre-drill all of our holes so when we're up there, this panel's off. We can wing nut it all together, squeeze it in as tight as we need to hide that seam. Also, all this is going overhead and everything is extremely light. all out of aluminum, super light. This whole angled piece here, you can see how taut it all is. When I bring it up, there's absolutely zero flex in that. Super light. We've put a lot of blocking overhead too. Already know how far everything is, but you know, you still want to give yourself a little room because it might look good in the computer, but once you get out there and you're in real life, the wood has swollen because of all the humidity we have, or the AC is now running and it's contracted, so your measurements aren't going to be the exact as they are inside of a computer. Did you see my little stand I made?
The plasma stand?
Plasma stand.
It's so cool.
We didn't use the plasma CNC in this project, but I was very excited about that stand. I even recorded everything. I made a video, but apparently Dylan doesn't want to put a video together on the plasma stand. Just put a video on the plasma stand.
No, dude, it's not enough. It needs to be bigger.
Here you can see Nathan very tediously assembling every part and piece. These are 16 feet long, so it's almost like pickup sticks. You got to be very careful. But again, it's lightweight, so you can just pick it back up. A little spring clamp will hold it in place. And this is the part where there is one angle that is cut different than the other. It's like plugging in a USB. You still have to do it 3 times before you get it right, and there's only 2 ways that it can go in. After Nathan has all of his parts and pieces clamped in, he double checks his measurements and his angles before he begins to MIG them all into place. Sometimes when you're working on a piece and you have your welding hood down, things just disappear and you're not really sure when it left. Just want to say congratulations to Nathan. They just had a new boy and he's still out here when he can, when the baby's sleeping, late at night, whatever hours, he's still going to town, doing what he's got to do, and I really appreciate all of his help and efforts. So after we've welded it all together, here you can see how the jig works, how it slides back and you can remove the entire piece, just one person. It's very light. So here Nathan sets it on to the second part of the assembly of the soffits. This is where he will begin skinning it, but first he has to cut out the alumicore. Nathan preps the alumicore to begin wrapping this origami around the aluminum structure. We prefer to use fuse it more so than liquid nail. Over the years, liquid nail does get hard, almost like crystallizes, whereas fuse it does not. It's going to remain firm, but yet still be able to fluctuate with changing in temperatures, humidities, all of that. In my experience, it's a better bonding material. There's many ways that this soffit could have been built. You could build it out of wood, MDF, 2x4s, drywall, aluminum channel, any kind of way. I like doing things built at the shop. That way I have control over exactly how it's gonna go. I wanted to do it out of aluminum, an alumicore. Flat, straight edges, I can crease that. There's no Bondo or body work or anything. Really lightweight, so when you do have to install it, if it's just one person, it's manageable. We have 3 angles, 6 90-degree corners, 18 16-foot long pieces, and that's a lot of pieces that we have to make. Before the soffit gets installed, we have to anchor down exactly where the webbing is going to go and the location of every node. Easiest way to do that, screws, string, and just sketch it out on the ceiling.
Is this thing on?
Once the location of the nodes were anchored in, we could jump into Fusion and start figuring out all of our angles, the exact precise angle of each node. And that was a lot of math. Once the nodes top and bottoms were cut out, Ryan had to make sure and label each one, top, bottom, and numbered. All right, so the
Ceiling?
yeah. The ceiling, little lights nodes on the ceiling. We have them at every intersection. We've already laid everything out with string and screws, and we're not moving that. And you can see on top here, I have a little hole. So this is to allow for the screw. So now we'll be able to place this up exactly, allowing that screw to come through that hole and keep the strings so everything doesn't change, bump, or move. That gets screwed in. This all gets wrapped with the alumicore. Underneath allows for the light to go through. So this is the actual light that's going to be going inside of this hole. So you fold these back, slide up into there, boom, clamps down, stays there. So these are all of our parts and pieces, tops and bottoms. Yeah, you want to talk about confusing. What's top, what's bottom on this? Because it's like the bottom of the light and the top is going to go on the ceiling. But when you're cutting it, are you cutting the tops with the big hole? Because it's going to be built like this, and the bottom and the top. Confusing. But I'll show you what that's going to look like. So this is one of them. This is like the prototype proof of concept. So you can see how, you know, it's seamless all the way around. Seamless. Makes it all seamless. This piece pops up in, but we don't have a hole here. Now, the way how these will actually be made is we're going to hold this off, and basically we're going to make like a garage door. So our arm can sleeve inside and sleeve out to make any minor adjustments that might happen. So on this, we'll have a 1/2 inch hole, and then this here is going to come in. So this will all get cut out. And then the garage door opening hides any seams or any flaws. But as you can see, all of these were not cut with this piece cut out to allow that to slide in. So what would happen is, if this is our ceiling, this is our 1/2 inch top piece, which then comes down, and here's our light. So when we go to slide the box light in, and it has to go from here to this node, it would have to be that exact measurement. And we all know that's not possible. So if we remove this MDF channel here, we can now extend our light box. So now we can take this light box, push it this way, because it's going to be too long to go up.
So you're like giving yourself wiggle room to get the light boxes in, so you can slide it all the way through.
So the box will come up, this will come up to here. Once it's up here, now we can slide the light box in, but we have to give ourselves room.
I see what you're saying. And those aren't cut with that wiggle room.
There's no wiggle room. Look, I drew it here back in the day, but I don't think
that made it through the design process.
Right.
Oh my God, I just realized you drew that whole diagram upside down.
Yeah. Ryan begins to lay out the face of the garage door, which is basically the surrounding, which is going to allow the staple to go into place. He runs the program on the CNC. Now he'll begin to assemble. Instead of writing a program for all of the returns coming back off of the garage doors, it's much faster to just chop them. So he set up home base right next to the chop saw. Everything's in reach. Super glue, of course. Once Ryan gets set up, he is laser focused. A lot of times, you know, it's like the boss man has to tell the employees, get back to work. But I like to feel like we are all working together. And I end up being the one that gets told to get back to work. You just get so sidetracked, and you're having a good time. You don't really call it work. It's just, you know, hanging out, making neat things. Only one person can assemble so many parts and pieces on one of these nodes. There's over 10 to 15 pieces on each node. And after a while you lose your mind, so they'll tag out, next one jumps in. It was neat seeing these things being built. I'd walk by and more, and they began to stack them. And to me, it looked like a model of a modern architectural apartment complex. It looks so cool. We give it a coat of thick primer. We just roll that on. That's gonna seep into any cracks, corners, sand that. That's not the final paint because the node is going to be getting the majority of the beating up with all of the staples coming in and nicking it and dinging it. So that's just to kind of give us an idea of what it's gonna look like. So we packed up the nodes and went to install them. Luckily, they're all labeled. So we know exactly where they're gonna go on the ceiling because there's 3 legs that come out of one node, there's 5 legs that come out of a node, there's multiples of 3, 4, and 5 legs that come out of multiple nodes. So we had a key to let us know where the nodes went, the locations and the angles and which way everything was pointing. So now with the nodes in place, we begin to install the MDF stringers along the top. That's all liquid nailed and 3-inch Torx screws into the ceiling joists. So that thing is anchored in there. That also gives us the exact layout where everything is going to go as far as the staples that go up into there. With the nodes up and the webbing laid out on the ceiling, it's time to load up the soffit. I can finally get these soffits, 16 foot long, 18 of these out of the shop, and get these 2 long tables out of the shop too. Finally have a little room in there. And this is what 36 sheets of alumicore, 550 pieces of aluminum square tubing, 1,000 welded seams, 5 spools of welding wire, and 1.5 bottles of gas later looks like. Here you can see Nathan just by himself able to install a corner piece, but it's always quicker with 2. Some of the odd angles we knew we'd have to make in the field. When you start at one point and you come all the way back around, you come to this point, you're gonna slightly be off no matter what. And I knew that when I was designing this. That's why we have the start and stop corner. Nathan started here and he knew he was gonna go a straight line. So that odd corner has to be made in the field. Here you can see Nathan is using lasers and the track saw to cut perfectly straight lines and able to weld that into place perfectly. Now that the nodes are up, the soffit's in, the stringers are run, it's time to start on the coolest part of this ceiling, the webbing. The webbing is larger than it looks. Keep in mind, this is a huge garage. They are 8 inches by 11 inches and up to 19.5 feet long with a single piece of frosted Lexan running the whole thing with no seams in it. We don't have the LEDs in yet. Reason being is the linear footage for something of this magnitude, you have to make sure all your LEDs come from the same lot. Meaning, if I were to buy 15 feet of LEDs and next month I buy 120 feet of LEDs and I go to put those 2 together, one green is going to be greater than the other. They're never exactly the same. So when you have over 1,000 linear feet of LED, they all have to come from the same lot, which should be coming in next month. But in the meantime, we have a lot of light boxes to build, and we're going to go now.
Are we going now?
We're going now.
We're going now.
What are we doing today?
Right now?
Right now.
All right, so we are making the staples for the ceiling web. And we start off with a giant piece of 4x8 alumicore, finished on one side, primed on the other. That comes up here, get all the dust out from underneath of it, and we line it all up, and then get to do the satisfying part. Nice and clean, vacuumed down to the table, and then we go grab our program. The first pass is gonna come in here. We're gonna cut not all the way through it with a round end mill, so it doesn't go all the way through it. So it just cuts to 0.02 of an inch above the bottom, or no, 20 thousandths. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. So we're all cut.
You might want to blow your lens off.
Oh my God.
I hope that was being videoed.
That went right in my mouth.
All right, so everything's cut out on the CNC, so we cut out 2 staples at a time. The reason we had to cut this trench is to allow this to bend up with little to no effort to give us a nice, crisp 90-degree corner. So once we do that, pull it out of this guy, and it comes over here. We made this guy fit the outside of here so that it'll hold it right into place. It snaps into place so we can glue our supports on the inside to stable it all up. And this is why we call it a staple, because it's like a ring of staples before you put it in. That'll hold the bend. Then we need something to hold that 90 in place. And so we do 2 things. We made up these guys, which are just MDF pieces glued together into a perfect 90, stapled and glued. So then we're gonna put liquid nails on these guys, put them in here, glue them in there so it'll hold that 90 while we put the acrylic on it. So then to hold them in place, got high-tech blocks of wood, and they just snap right in place. To hold the middles and support, we're gonna make these guys, which these guys are gonna snap right in here, and then they'll go above the board that's on the ceiling already.
So it doesn't bow in the middle.
And that'll help the support.
Can you stop standing? Can you stop standing for a sec?
You gotta speak up, Nathan.
So what you got here? All right, so alumicore comes with a white shiny side and then a primed side. So we put the white shiny side on the inside because right up here in the middle, going down the whole center, is going to be a line of LEDs. So we want the white to reflect it, so to get more light into the center of the staple or the web. So every web has a white inside to help reflect all of the LED strips as they go down towards the frosted acrylic. A lot of the runs of the web are over 8 foot long, so we have to piece them in. All right, so these will get trimmed. We'll trim that all off, that'll it, so we can hit the other side of the round. So we'll have an 8 foot section, and then we'll end up piecing them together to make one long oval.
Now there's 84 of these staples that have to be made. Nobody wants to watch us build 84 staples, so pow! Look at that. So when we're installing the staples on the job site there, we have the ceiling here. We have the MDF piece that's then anchored up above with the 3-inch screws, liquid nails on the, well, fuse it on the back of it. So the staple, the way how that's built, it's the alumicore that's bent around. We have our corners here. Now, just for the insurance purposes, this all gets the fuse it, so it's all bonded to it. But just to make sure, I do not want any of these things falling on this man's car collection. Nails all along there, extra insurance. So we have nails down here, a mechanical fasten as well as a chemical fasten. When we're laying out all the stringers for the light boxes, it's similar to doing tile. You're gonna do all your field first, then save your cuts for later. That way, it's in the field cut, you know it's exact. This is what I was drawing earlier on the back side of the node about how the staples are gonna slide into the node and then swing up onto the ceiling. With all the nodes in place and the webbing up, it's time to drop down our power for all of the lights that are going in the center of the nodes. Nathan is very agile. He's like a squirrel in an attic. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to put a GoPro on that squirrel and just let him go.
Good luck, Nathan.
All right, we're gonna catch an elbow. Huh. Hill? Yeah. So random pieces of wood in the attic that look like they're secured to things, but they're not. Yeah, you should be careful about stepping on those. Sometimes it doesn't go very well.
That'll buff out.
It'll buff out.
That'll buff out.
You want to get me a piece of wood that I can put over this hole so we can patch this?
Yeah. Like that? Want to hinge that piece of wood?
Thankfully, Nathan was okay and he did not fall through. So we're just gonna put a little buffing compound over top of that and it's all good. Once the wires are run, it's time to paint the staples. I'm sure you've noticed that we've been using my Genie lift for a large portion of this. For some odd reason, Ryan and I thought it'd be better if we just push him around on the scaffolding. It doesn't matter how it got done, it still got done. Don't worry about that genie lift. After we were done painting all of the staples, we were wrapping up to leave, and I saw the electrician Dave. I was like, hey buddy, I heard you're putting lights in tomorrow. He said, whoever told you that lied to your face. So he stayed late and put those lights in. Now he has seen us use the genie lift. Problem is, I lock it up at night, and he had to do it all with a 12-foot step ladder, 21 times up and down each light. So when I came in the next morning, I was floored, literally. It was amazing. The lights were on. It was stormy out that morning, dark. I had not been surprised like that in a long time. I know, just lights being in there, but it was fantastic. Thanks, Dave. It made the bondoing and the masking so much easier. It took 3 of us 2 12-hour days to mask off everything on there. Every return, nook and cranny on the nodes, everything had to be masked off. Here's a trick I like to do when I have to do a lot of taping. Take your tape, put it through your wrist, and now you can just tape and go. You can pull it off, put it up where it needs to go. You can take your smaller pieces, just tear it off. That way you're not always switching hands. Problem is, when you're doing 42 rolls, your wrist starts to get a little irritated. Now that everything's all masked off, time to paint the ceiling black. Look at how I just rip open the 5-gallon, like an ape, rip open that 5-gallon bucket with pliers, like an ape, trying to get the 5-gallon bucket of bananas. This time I am gonna use the lift to paint. Load it up with 5 gallons of black in the airless and go to town. The staples are made out of alumicore, which is 100% straight. Even though this is a level 5 ceiling, it is so large there could still be waves. So I have to make sure to get the paint right where the alumicore and the ceiling meet.
Shouldn't have any run.
Now that the ceiling is painted black, it's time to unmask it. Let's go. We're gonna go right now.
Like right now?
Like right now. Probably should put some shoes on. And here we are. It only took 35 gallons, 3 coats, and 2 days to paint the entire thing. Nathan also came up with his own little invention called the Paintinator, patent pending, but it looks awesome. So let's unmask this. And there it is, all unmasked. It looks fantastic. Couple little touch-ups here and there, but once I get those LEDs in, it's going to look even better. But we still have a lot to do. I'm currently building a custom gaming table to fit this biotech theme. Also, we've been making a lot of progress on the fire epoxy bar. Next step with this is a black diamond leather stone, and I can finish sculpting all the rock work. Make sure you subscribe and turn those notifications on so you don't miss out what's happening next in this Supercar Garage.